Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next episode, fifth of You Are Where You Need to Be podcast. We are going to talk about when waiting teaches you patience. So this is, again, another complex topic because I always thought that I'm a patient person. I was also told many times that I'm very patient. And lately, due to different personal experiences, I had to recognize that patience is not equal to passive waiting. It's like more like a trust in the process and not hyperfixating on the outcome. And I'm realizing that I don't think we are really taught as children to be really patient. Like we are conditioned to wait for certain rewards. For example, if you get good grades in school, you will eventually get some kind of gift or a treat or something, but you have to wait for it. But that internal process that is happening inside a child, which is such a full of excitement and nerves, it feels so nervous in my memories. It's not actual patience. And how do you teach a child actually to be patient and appreciate the moment, what they are going through right now, and not hyperfixate on the outcome? And I think this is how humanity became such a chasing species, because all children are being told that in the future there is a goal you have to reach, and for that you have to wait, but not patience. Patience should be about just being able to exist with freedom inside of you, not stressing about that outcome that might or might not come. And then when the time actually comes, they are not able to appreciate it because it's not definitely giving that much of a reward, or maybe it gives some kind of dopamine hit. But dopamine usually doesn't last very long. It's not how you should be nurturing yourself and treating yourself. So it all goes wrong. It's like waiting for a piece of candy every single time instead of a proper meal that lasts longer and gives you proper energy. And we are growing up and we are chasing all kinds of goals and ideas in our heads. Let that be future flat, a future job, a better paying job, a traveling place, destination, or a relationship. And you are unable to actually recognize what is actually happening during those times, and whatever is happening you are going through, that is really good for you, because you are just chasing the future goal that you will never be able to appreciate.
Yeah,
How do
but
you see this?
I think the problem starts at school. Basically, what you said also, that our system at school is not really built up in the correct way for developing, enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Because we are all always setting up goals and we have to reach those goals, and at the end of those goals we are getting rewarded, and then we have to start the next thing and the next thing over and over again. And I don't think there is too much difference between educational systems all around the world. Some of them are better, I know, but many of them are built on this system, which has just having grades, and you have to learn certain subject. You have to somehow master it without understanding it or without actually deep diving into it. And at the end, they ask you to write an essay or just have an oral exam, and you are done. So this is where the root source starts. You don't actually enjoy the studying process because it's not built in an enjoyable way. And when you are a child, and this is how you start off at your early age, then it sticks with you no matter what. And it's really hard to get to that point when you realize that, fuck, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always chasing the next thing. And okay, chasing something new is great. It means that you are interested in many things. But we all forget to actually take time and see the process itself as something to enjoy. And I know that I cannot really recall too many times where I enjoy the process. And after I finished something, I just made the score and I said to myself that, okay, this is done. And then I realized that, okay, it didn't really give me too much dopamine. So let's go for the next one and the next one. And this is not a healthy way to live, actually, because the most important things are always in the moment, in the present moment.
Yes.
So can you recall anything? Of course I can, which you enjoy the process of actually better than the outcome?
Well, actually, yes. When I used to do my hobbies and drawings and paintings, I think I very much enjoyed the actual process. And I may not be very appreciative towards the outcome. But lately, I
Just like
appreciate it a
every
lot
artist?
more. But that's one thing, because that was still, I was kind of hyper focused on it, which is, I don't know if it's ADHD related or what, but it still gave me some kind of excitement, and it distracted me from certain things as well. So I did enjoy the process. But about life happenings, I'm just seeing it now that I either tried to distract myself from going through the process and never even starting it because I just did not enjoy it. Because maybe I would start something and I didn't have that feeling of drawn to it, and then eventually I would stop doing it. But then let's talk about, for example, relationships or progress. Let's talk about the progress in life. For example, a lot of people feel so impatient to achieve certain goals they have in life. And because of that impatience, because they are unable to appreciate wherever they are right now, they keep making impulsive decisions, like quickly moving to other places or going to traveling destinations, different places. And because they are just chasing that good feeling, because we haven't learned to actually feel something good about just sitting and having a tea or coffee or reading a book or just being on our own, not being distracted, getting external validation from other people or seeing different new places. And these are actually valid and legit needs that we are trying to seek. But if we are constantly jumping into actions because we are unable to sit through the journey that we have to in order to make those steps, those constructive steps to arrive to that place, whatever that may be, but you are aiming towards to some destination, then we are not really going to get there because we are just not investing in ourselves. Same with relationship. If someone doesn't feel very quickly the usual dopamine hit and then they just jump on another case. And that's the case of this swipe left and right culture as well, is that people are impatient. They are unable to appreciate a good conversation. They don't even know anymore how to do these things because they just want quickly everything, what is feeling good. But sometimes we have to go through things that is not going to feel good. So the process may not going to feel good. We just need to learn to appreciate it and be okay sitting in it or doing it. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I just haven't answered to your question actually, is that I'm noticing in these past few months is that I used to be so much more reactive and impulsive and would have these mini rages inside where I'm like, oh, I want to be there. And why do I not have that? Whatever I was hoping to have suddenly because I was not meeting my own needs. So suddenly my inner self was screaming to have whatever good feeling. And now that I am investing into myself a lot more and loving the way I am, if I need a break, I take a break. If I feel like doing something and it's not impulsive, I'm just listening to my body. That is I would like to socialize now. I will go and socialize with people and I have a goal in the future. I would like to change something about myself. I have to schedule learning times for that. And then every single time I'm doing steps towards meeting these goals and meeting my own needs, I feel so much better. And it's not that kind of exciting like before if I would quickly do something that was very impulsive, but it still fulfills me more. And because of that, I feel like patience is growing better. I don't feel that pressure and hysterical need of wanting to be wherever I want to be. I trust the journey that I'm taking. So that's.
Yeah, actually, all of the points what you are mentioning are really important. What comes to my mind first about it is the part where you have to sometimes sit with yourself, because let's be honest, most people are spending a lot of time at home, right? So let's say most of our lives, if we are looking at it, we are spending at home, or okay, at work, but let's be more positive and say at home. People get depressed by thinking that staying at home, enjoying your own company, or just being with your loved ones or your dog, cat, the same as loved ones, actually. I just wanted to separate it. It's so important as well, because if you don't have these quiet moments, the ordinary gray days, how we call them, and we always would chase something, we always would travel, we would always be on the way, we would always be busy. We couldn't even enjoy that, because we need balance, actually need both to be able to enjoy. And the part what I don't understand anymore, because I also been like that sometimes, that even if you go on a holiday, you are still chasing something there. You just can't turn this off, that you need to see as much as possible. You need to take as many pictures as possible. Now, especially pictures, videos, people are not even present in the moment anymore, because they see everything through the lens of their smartphones, because they just want to post it on social media. And it's so different from actually being present somewhere, or being present somewhere when there is a screen in front of you and you are constantly recording. So this is also one part of it. And I think I started to notice on myself again lately, the past, let's say, year, that I enjoy my own company and I enjoy being by myself. I had this before in parts, but it was never staying that way, because I was always also uneasy and I needed to do something. And I was never satisfied at the end. And I think something shifted in that, because honestly, I just don't mind if, for example, I have 5 days and I'm not planning to do anything important, and I'm just, for example, sitting on my yoga mat and looking outside of my balcony, or just breathing the air in, or just having the sun on my skin. Things basically you call existing, like simple existing, when you're not rushing anywhere. And those moments are so nice. I mean, literally nice. Before, I really felt what you also mentioned, that I'm not doing enough and something is missing. And I felt guilty for taking rest. If you think about it, how silly is that? Why were we conditioned like that?
Yeah, I do remember, when, like, in my childhood, I just didn't feel like doing anything, and I was obviously facing some kind of punishment, like usually verbal. Why am I not doing something? Why am I not cleaning my room, practicing piano? Why am I not playing with the dog? Why am I not doing this and that and that? Why am I not reading a book?
Why aren't you active?
Yes. So I understand where that came from now, but that's how, like, children are being conditioned, that someone externally sooner or later places these kind of expectations why you are not doing enough. And also, like, if you look at social media and other people's lives, even at my workplace, usually I hear from a lot of people, oh, I did so many things over the weekend. I did that and that. And they actually didn't even really enjoy it, or at least that's how it comes across. They just had to do
That's
it.
an important part.
Also, if you don't ever take a break, when do you reflect all of these events that you go through? Because humans, we do need to process things. We just can't on the moment fully feel what we went through. And then if we just keep going into everything, like, we literally live our life without ever reflecting. And it's very handy for a lot of emotionally unavailable people, because then they don't have to reflect, they can distract themselves with all kinds of activities or other people or responsibilities that happens to them, they don't have anything to do with them. It's in the victim mode. But then, yeah, it's nice to I have realized so many things because of this space that I created for myself, or I was forced in the beginning to create for myself. And now I'm trying to take it as well so I can reflect on my decisions, thoughts, what I need to do. Sometimes just enjoying the color of the sunshine on my plants while sipping some tea. And that's one of the most peaceful things that I can do on my own. And I'm like, this is so nice.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I've always known that I enjoyed really still moments in life. Like, for example, when we went on a beach, I just like to lay on the shore and observe the water or people around me and basically do that for hours.
Yeah.
And I know that it sounds pretty boring, but it was recharging, and it still is recharging for me. Just sitting in nature or looking at something on the street, like really passive activities, because these are also activities. You are present in them. You're just not rushing anywhere. And
Yeah.
back in the day, I didn't really understand that. I just realized that I felt really recharged after these moments, but I was not thinking about it too much. And as I grew older, I realized that these are crucial moments for me, because if I don't have that, I burn out. I don't have energy for anything anymore. I cannot focus on anything, and I cannot even start anything or finish what I started. And I just feel like that many people don't give themselves these moments. They feel like they don't need them, or they brush it off, or they feel guilty like we felt guilty before. And then they don't understand why they have so much stress, anxiety, and worst case scenario, they take medications to be able to sleep better, to be able to turn off, or even worse scenario, drugs or alcohol, the substances, instead of just realizing that actually this is a very human thing to do. And we have always done that, just not now in this fast-paced world, which is getting even more crazy and crazy. It feels like that you are being lazy by enjoying that or doing it.
Yeah, that word lazy has been haunting my entire life.
Mine too.
Yeah. I remember I used to label myself lazy before anyone could say it because I thought that way I can avoid their punishment for being lazy, because I know, then
you cannot hurt me if I know already.
Yeah, but I think that's a bit different topic there. But yeah, that's the thing, is these things are actually personal needs that I keep trying to bring up, that people are not aware of their own personal needs. There was no education. There was literally nothing in, I think, most of our lives that would help us to discover. Like, some things we do recognize, like you said, those moments, for example, going to nature, it would recharge you. But then knowing that this is actually a personal need of you, and then if you are not consistently meeting it and fulfilling them, it's going to lead to burnout and less productivity and health issues and so on. To know that, to me, that changed my mind, because every time I feel low, and my life, not just my mind, but yes, it's both. It's the same thing. And every time I feel low, or I start to miss something or someone, I used to think that was something wrong with me, or I was actually missing that person, or anything like that. Or what should I do? How should I spend my money? I would go on Amazon and order whatever I could find, and I was fancying at the moment. And then the quick dopamine hit would fix that for 5 minutes. And then I would
Or even not 5 minutes.
Yes, immediately I would have the guilt that I spent money again and maybe I should cancel it. Anyway, I think a lot of us has been through this game before, but the thing is that we do need to know what kind of personal needs we have, and consistently every day, almost every day, or every certain times meeting them, because then you will be able to appreciate where you are, because you're just literally making yourself happy. In that sense, not that happiness, what people think, what we are trying to advertise with marketing and TV and films and everything, but like a peace inside of you. But the problem is a lot of people become so emotionally unavailable because of their upbringings, and they just never be able to create a sense of self, which knows what their personal needs are. So they just learn to cope throughout their entire life, which was coping like people pleasing, working like a maniac, because that's what was expected, to please other people, to be useful, to do the things, achieve future goals, and they wouldn't be able to know. I was there. I didn't know what kind of needs I used to have. And then I would be the same. It's like I would go on a trip and I would very much enjoy it. And then when I would go home, I would cry because I would think I wouldn't understand what's going on with me. And then turns out it was like a very much needed personal need being met. And I felt happy, and as well as happy, sad, because it was over and I didn't know when I can do it again. But you can unlearn that kind of helplessness feeling as well and go after and in very small ways meet them. And that's how you could just be more patient, I think, with life, with yourself.
Yeah, then traveling is also important to mention, as you say, because it just came to my mind that I also had different kind of holidays, so to say. And I noticed on myself that if I had a fulfilling time, which met a lot of my personal needs, and then I came back home after, I felt completely different. Enjoyed that I came home. I just loved everything about my surroundings, even the language of the people around me or the stupid public transport. You can mention all kind of silly things because you met your needs and you met it in a way what for you is very important. And after that, you just can really restart. You can take a new perspective even, and you can just come back with much more energy. And that's why it's really important to just take time off from work. Especially if you feel exhausted, you shouldn't push yourself even more because it can lead to serious things. Burnout is already serious, but from there you can develop all kind of illnesses because your body will tell you if you don't listen to it that you need to take time off, you need to take the rest. And everybody should find the activity, the passive activities, what they enjoy or what they like to do and what makes them to have these feelings. If when they return, then they are actually happy and fulfilled and they are really eager to dive in back to their ordinary lives.
Yeah, I think majority of people don't know. Even I wouldn't know if I haven't come across this personal development school where they were teaching about this. Maybe in some other books, psychological books, I don't know if they ever talk about this matter. But yes, it's very important. And especially to be able to allow yourself to take a break, because it's one thing to know all of these things, but to be able to do what you need to do. Because a lot of people still can't get out of that machine that they were running for years, that was programmed and conditioned by other like teachers and parents and bosses and whatever negative voices in their head. So it's really hard thing to change, but I hope that eventually this will spread and people will be more and more open to find patience and being able to accept themselves where they are. So you are where you need to be always, and not in the future, far away, not in the back, in the past. And this is what people are unable to appreciate, where they are right now. And that's hard, tough.
Yeah, it all comes back to patience because for all this, you need to be patient with yourself, actually.
Yeah.
You need to understand that you are not some kind of superhuman and you don't need to reach all your goals in 2 seconds. And even if you don't reach them, you kind of have to accept it and take a new perspective because we set up so many goals and at the end we reach one or two. And that's a big deal already. Actually, we should just humanize ourselves more than how we are actually doing at the moment. And I also feel like it's thanks to the false idea what's coming from all social media, or all the media. Actually, it doesn't even have to be social media, because it gives us standards which are not realistic and not even real. And we are comparing ourselves to that. And we forget actually to enjoy the small things in life too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really love how you mentioned that you have to learn to be patient with yourself, because people usually think that I have to be like, it's some kind of an external thing that I have to be patient with other people. But what it actually involves is that you have unresolved trauma and troubles with self-regulation, and people don't know how to handle their own emotions and reactions, and they just want to have a quick fix. And that's where patience is not happening, because they just don't want to feel that whatever they are feeling, because no one ever taught us how to feel it and still be okay with it. And because in certain times of our lives, we feel more or less okay. Some people, or they try and distract themselves so they don't notice that they are not okay. But then other times it peaks, something triggers in you, and then you just want a very quick fix. But the whole thing is about going through everything is how you learn. And if you want to, I don't know if you have seen the film with Adam Sandler called Click, I think.
What was it about? Remote?
Maybe Remote.
Yeah, that one I saw.
Yeah.
That's a good example. I know why, but tell me.
So I don't know if everyone saw it, or I should spoil it. Do you think I should spoil it, the story still?
Well, it's quite an old movie, so
yeah,
you can.
Yeah,
I think you can.
Okay, I got the permission. So yeah, it's about Adam Sandler, this dad. He's working so hard as an architect, if I recall, to become a partner at a certain company. And he's so impatient, and he's unable to control his anger in certain situations. He doesn't know how to sit in the anger and the impatience. And he just gets remote control from the devil, literally. And he can fast forward in time. And then every uncomfortable conversation with wife or any event that he doesn't wish to participate, he can just fast forward or jump through it. And then eventually the remote controller learns that which kind of situations he didn't want to participate in. And then when he wants to change his mind, he can't undo it. And then he finds himself divorced, unhappy, overweight, dying. All his family has left him literally, while his kids still love him, but still he did not participate in their lives. He missed out on everything. So this is such a beautiful example, I think, of what we are doing in our lives, because we are impatient. We don't learn how to just be in it, even it feels freaking uncomfortable and unbearable. That's what life is. These feelings are there for a reason, and you can make it a bit better, but that's just who we are. We have to learn to be okay with that when we are in that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good example. I forgot about that movie, but it fits
I'm gonna
perfectly.
rewatch it.
Yeah, I think I will rewatch it too, because it fits perfectly to this topic, actually.
Yeah.
Because it portrays so well the impatience what we all have. Just like you mentioned, that there are some certain moments which we just want to skip or just fast forward, because it's either bringing up difficult emotions or negative emotions, or something we label as negative. For example, boredom or anxiety, stress, fear, whatever. But these are all part of life, actually. And we really should appreciate everything. I would add something what came to my mind now about this, because when I lived home and my family was always around me, I felt that it's so natural, and I actually sometimes was bored with our gatherings, and I just couldn't wait to go home and be by myself or with my partner. Sometimes I was bored with my partner too, etc., etc. I think everybody can relate to this. And now that I'm away from them, I learn to appreciate every second what we spend together. And I look at it differently, actually. And I realize that that's the mindset, actually, what we should have earlier, to understand that we need to appreciate it when we have it. So the moment when it's not there anymore, then it weights differently. At least it waited for me. Because the first time I moved in here, I think I didn't go home for a year. And that was heavy after always being around my family, after always doing things together. And also I can include my friends, it's exactly the same. Because not everybody can relate to the family thing, but to friends, I think we all can. I cherish the moments after with them much more. And ever since I do that, even if we just go out for a coffee at home, for example, which most people don't really consider anything special, I still enjoy every second of it.
Yeah.
Because that's just it. And that's how it should be with everything else. We have one life, at least one life in this body with this personality. That's another topic. And I think most of us learns later in life what's really important, and we should start learning it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's a lack of education from both parenting, society, schools, and everything, because we had to get to understand this through our own pain and experiences and losses and so on. Let's hope maybe we can contribute to this as well in certain ways to spread these kind of thoughts and awareness. But I just wanted to get back to what you said, boredom. It really, I haven't thought about this word in a long time. Used to hear it from people. I'm so bored and everything. And I don't remember ever being bored. I would always do something, or I would always wander off in my mind somewhere. But then I just wonder now, what is actually boredom?
That's a very good question. Because for me, actually, I also cannot really recall when I was bored the last time. I'm trying to remember. But let's say it's a moment where you don't really know what to do with yourself.
So you can't be yourself.
No, not really. Because you don't have your usual tools around you, which you use for distracting yourself.
It's not distracting, it's meeting your needs. Therefore, you cannot be yourself.
Depends, because
truly, you're not in an environment where you can freely be yourself somehow.
But wait, because you can feel bored even at home on your own. And most people, that's why they don't enjoy their own company, because they are with themselves and they don't know what to do with that. They haven't learned it. They haven't sit with themselves. They don't know what kind of tools or activities they should do by themselves so they don't feel bored.
So they are not aware of their own personal needs that they could meet on their own. So they are not fully themselves. They are kind of trapped in some kind of cage where they have no visibility and knowledge about the tools and the needs, whatever that would make them happy. And then they're just there existing. Of course, they are unhappy. And then we kind of came up with a word, bored, that we can apply to it, because no one ever taught them, or they never had the chance to really fully find themselves. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm lucky in that way, because I kind of would still wander off in my mind, even if I had no tools around me or any other ways.
It would be I'm sure there is already an experiment that has to be outside, where you put a person in a room where there's nothing and just observe what they do after some time when they are getting bored.
Yeah.
Just personalities of people come out so nicely, I think, with such an experiment, because we are so different from one another. I would really love to see the people I know, for example, if they were put in such situation, what would they start doing after a while?
What do you think you would start to do?
Me, for sure, wander off in my mind and just sit there like I always do.
Yeah.
And you?
Probably me too, or fall asleep, or sing, or whatever. I probably wander off in my mind. I'm just thinking, what can be the reason for this, because like I don't think originally humans are supposed to be doing nothing unless they are resting or digesting. And even when they would maybe digest, they would be chatting or communicating with tribe members or something. But then literally our base of living is survival, and survival comes with working and resting and socializing and procreation, if that's the right word for it, which is also an activity. Like what I mentioned previously, having a tea, looking at my plants and so on. That's also some kind of activity. I'm doing something and I'm thinking about the lights. I have some kind of stimulation. If I was isolated in a empty room where there are no lights, no shadows, nothing, and I'm just on my own without anything, I would try and escape through my mind somewhere to do something, to see something. So I think we are not designed to do nothing in that sense.
Yeah, but our mind is such a powerful tool, actually. And if we are in such a situation, a very disturbing one came to my mind. I don't know if I should mention it. Well, whatever. I watched a documentary about a girl who was kept in captivity for many years under a bed in a box. It was horrific, really. Like I cannot even imagine what she'd been through. But what she said was exactly the same. That's why it came to my mind, that she was wandering off all the time in her mind. She was going on holidays with her family. So she was living in her imagination, because basically in an environment which offers you nothing, that's all you can do.
Yeah. I do believe that's how I kind of became like this dreamer person as well, because like a child's imagination is so strong. And if you don't allow a child to be themselves, they're gonna go away in their heads. Yeah, and do those things that they wish to do. And if you don't teach a child how to achieve and do those things that would make them happy, then they will just imagine it. And then after coming out of that, it's really hard because you keep fantasizing about certain things, what you would like to do, but you don't know how to implement the actual steps to achieve that thing. And that's a different topic. It just came up.
Yeah, but I understand what you mean, that it's a really important thing. But there are so many things that we should teach children.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's still not the case. I'm really hoping that it's going to be better and changing in the future, because there is much more awareness now around us. At least we can get the information from so many sources. Not everybody do though, but it's still out there. And the good side actually of these real videos and the TikTok videos, that there are also content which is positive and which actually makes you wonder and makes you question things. And it gives you a new idea or ideology that you haven't learned before, and you maybe want to explore if you see it there from somebody you follow or you respect for that reason. And yeah, this is the good side of social media, but everything has the good and the bad. It depends what we are taking out from it. But it's true that education should be so different from what we have now, but our whole system, unfortunately, is distorted to be a good lab rat, basically. But that's yet another topic. Thing.
Yeah, because what works for leaders, if you're not aware of yourself, if you're not aware of your needs, if you're not aware of anything literally, and you just do in a coping way. Yes.
But you thought that you need all that shit. Actually, you need the newest car, you need to buy the house. I think we even talked about this just in a different context before, that we are chasing all this bullshit which is not even working for everyone. We all chasing the family model that everybody has to have a husband, wife, and kids, and a dog, and the fuck knows what else. And that's not the path for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I believe a lot more people could have healthy relationships and partners and dogs and houses and so on if more people were aware, self-aware, emotionally available and healing like that. But that's not gonna happen in many cases for exactly the reason where they are, because they are so far away from that part where you crave to heal, that it turns into such a toxic being that it's going to reject any of that, and it will just spread whatever toxicity they have. And yeah, social media and media is literally like anything you experience in life. Whatever is inside of you is what you're going to find, because the algorithm is so good at like showing you what you keep seeking. Like when people say, oh, but it's showing me this kind of content and I'm not that interested, it's showing you for a reason, because you were engaging with it, you were liking it, you were commenting, whatever. So yeah, if you use it for good, it's very, very good. Like I have learned so much from Instagram. It's been only help for me, literally.
I think the most important takeout from that is question everything you see.
Yeah,
don't
that
take
as well.
anything for granted. Don't accept every word from somebody's mouth that is coming out. Always add your own thoughts and always question what you're hearing, because otherwise you're just following a path which maybe is not yours, or you get ideologies which are really unhealthy. You can get into the victim mentality that everybody is bad, and you will always find content which will actually proves that you are right, but it doesn't mean that it's true.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is questioning and getting more information and just putting pieces together what fits your personality, and try to understand that everybody has a different perspective and they come from somewhere else.
Yeah. So what is that part where I was going to ask about again, when you learn to appreciate to be with certain kind of people, and you kind of learn to be okay with other people being different. So that's also kind of a healing and letting go of certain things, which
it's interesting because for me, it looked like this. If I liked someone or if I loved someone, I actually accepted all part of them. It was pretty easy. I was very, very understanding. But the moment when I didn't like someone, I couldn't apply the same understanding. So my path was to learn that I have to treat people the same way, no matter if I like them or if I don't like them. Because if I can see where somebody is coming from, if I like them, and if I can understand their personality traits based on that, then I have to apply it for people who I don't like. There shouldn't be a difference. And it would make my life easier too, because I wouldn't take things personal and I would stop despising certain type of people, because I could just get it that, okay, probably he came from here, came from there, even especially if they hurt me, because it really turned the tables for me. When I liked them before, I accepted them, and then they hurt me, and then I found all their fault. And I was turning that understanding around, and it was not nice to do. So it was not good for me, and actually it was not nice towards them either. Of course, you have to feel all your emotions and you have to let all your emotions to play out, but you need to understand why they are happening. And you cannot get stuck into one cycle, because that's really dangerous, especially a negative cycle. So that was my journey about this, and about yours.
I just wanted to ask if you are really sure that you really truly accepted them for who they are, or you just justified it because of the attachment you had with these people and you overlooked their faults and red flags. And then once you came out of that attachment, it became so much clearer, and it actually hurt you even more because you saw that you allowed this to happen throughout that time.
That's a really complex thing to try to go through, but I will try. What you're saying is correct as well. But when I'm thinking about these people, I honestly accepted them. It's not like I was blind to their faults, because they were always there. It's just when you like someone, for me at least, it was always easier to accept their shortcomings and to explain to myself that they are like this and that because they told me where they are coming from. So I have to understand why they see things differently. And I think whenever they hurt me, it was, I see them not even, I wouldn't say clearly, because it was always that I always saw it. I would say that I see from a different perspective, not from the angle of love. And that's why it changed it. And that's why I saw those as negative, more negative, let's say, because I even always seen it certain traits as negative because of that shift. And because I had to play through all my emotions because I was hurt. But eventually I always arrived to the understanding of they are just who they are. They have those traits for whatever reason. And that's why this and that happened. And that's it. So I would say that I was honest with my feelings when I accepted people. I did not blindside myself about acceptance. I blindsided myself about certain traits, but not the whole person, if that makes sense.
I would at some point agree with you on this, but now I feel that that's still justification and still not accepting the whole person for who they are, because there are clearly certain things that they are not doing the way you wished it was differently. But I do understand where you're coming from, and it's very hard, I think, to accept someone for who they are. But now that I know about shadow work, it's hard because you can recognize what are the things that they are like. I'm not talking about like romantic relationship, because their shadow work is not always going to work, because very often you need to spot very crucial incompatibilities and missing standards and so on. I'm talking right now, for example, friends or grandparents, for example, what you mentioned when you spend more time with the family, that it feels differently, is that things used to trigger me so much because of the way they functioned. They were doing things, and to be able to detach that people do things regardless of who you are or what is it that you feel. They are a separate entity, and it has nothing to do with who you are and it's not about you. If they have something to obsess with, you need to look into it. Why is that them obsessing about a certain thing triggers you? Because you also obsess about some kind of things, and then no one ever understood you, or you don't allow yourself to understand that aspect of yourself. So, and it's a very complex thing. It's you need to look into it. And I did some of it unconsciously, actually, like subconsciously. But the distance actually helped a lot when you are not being exposed to that trigger all the time. And then that's how you can grow appreciation with shadow work. But going back to the part of fully accepting people, like, let's say, romantic relationship, in my case, I thought I accepted, but then certain things were still there. Like, why does he do it that way? Why does he do that? But then now I feel like that's not fully like, then I would have been okay. I wouldn't have had that anxiety attacks and panicking and bad feelings and so on if I was fully okay with that person. I would pick on things that I would be okay with and then keep focusing on that, and then not actually facing myself with the other rest, which was probably the majority of the person, and look at that I'm actually not accepting those elements, and that makes me so unhappy. And when I would finally get out of that cycle and blindness and so on, then I would see that it was me all along, ignoring those things and still wanting to change this person into something that they are at this present are not. And it was such a hard thing to wrap my mind around, because I've been chasing all the time the potential of people.
Yeah. I wanted to add something here, because what you're saying, I also had this with certain people, mostly in a romantic relationship. And this I would separate from the ones I was talking about before, because with those people, I didn't feel like that I want to change them or need to change them. Just from the moment they hurt me, I picked up on their negative traits, but not to change it, just to see it more negatively, because I needed that rage to process the betrayal, so to say, or the disappointment.
Yeah.
But with romantic relationships, there were not always, but there were some people who I also felt like that I see the potential and I want them to be how I imagined them in my head, which is me and not them, because the potential you see in other people is how you would do if you were in their place. It's not them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really important to understand when you are dissatisfied with your partner and you want them to do this or that, or why don't they react a certain way, or why don't they do it like that. It's all coming from you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying, the like picking on their negative aspects or the harmful aspects that are harmful to you. I actually now recall having that kind of encounter as well. But in my case, it was still because I come from such an avoidant, unaware history background where I just wasn't aware of what the normal should be, how people should be treating me. So every time I would meet someone and start to get to know this person, I would see their potential, their whatever right now I see, which is a positive, bubbly person, what beautiful soul, whatever, but that's again me. I mean, my intention, I'm not saying it's me, but it's my intention because that's what I would like to give to people. And they would still have those traits. I just did not pick up on it. It just eventually started to feel weird. And then over time, with some kind of awareness, I would recognize it and yet not want to change it. For a while, I would want to change myself because how do I be okay? We did talk about this before. How am I going to be okay? What should I change on myself to be okay with this person treating me the way they are treating me? But then eventually I realized when I finally started to find myself better and understand and accepting myself that that's not okay. I don't have to be okay with this person. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I will just let this person go. I don't have to change them. I don't have to enrage about it. I don't have to do anything. I just don't want them in my life. That's it. Simple as that.
The only thing we can do in this case is communicate how certain things, what they do affect us, and then see if something can be changed or something will change based on that or not. But you cannot change a person. You shouldn't actually, because they are who they are and they have their own timeline of progress. And maybe you could adapt to that, just not at the moment, but maybe something happens to them later or another thing happens. They all adapt and at the end it triggers a change, but they will do it for themselves, not for others, not for you, not for me. And that's
the same
also
way we changed for ourselves.
Yeah, this is also connected to patience, actually.
Yeah.
That you understand that this is a long process and you just have to let people be, because it can also be that you outgrow certain friendships, certain relationships. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, outgrowing like they are behind or something. Maybe they grow in a different path from you. And then at the end, it added the value for a certain amount of time, and then that was it. And that's how you have to remember, because we all go through so many relationships in our lives, like not romantic, but all kind. And all of them had a purpose to show you something.
Yeah, we just have to look at it and find it and appreciate that purpose.
Yes, but I add again, because I really need to highlight this more, I want to spread awareness about it more, that it's okay to feel your emotions when somebody you think hurt you or betrayed you or disappointed you. Don't try to push it down. Don't try to rationalize it right away. Just feel them, because if you don't, then they will come back and they will stay there, linger, and you don't know how they will affect your life later.
Yeah, and that part that you also mentioned, that to give it a chance. Like, yes, I said I don't want that person in my life. And for example, in that case, I believe like now sometimes I kind of judge myself and say I didn't try it enough. But then with that capacity I had back then, with that kind of knowledge where I was back then, I did try on the level. And that's the best of people. That's what people very often misunderstand. What is it, the best of people? People think that's that's the best. Like, whoa, it should be amazing. But no, that's the maximum you can do. And sometimes that's really not enough for anything. But then you still have to be compassionate with yourself that, yeah, that's where I was. I have learned the lesson I had to from it. Hopefully I did mine. And then, but do try. Don't immediately, as soon as someone triggers you, cut them out of your life, because that way you also don't learn from it. It's the same patience, what you also mentioned. Like, we have to give it some kind of patience, even between relationships and people and friendships. Because if we immediately jump out of the water as soon as we feel it's hot, we may never be able to have a nice bubbly bath. But then we can also like see and investigate it and then see, okay, yeah, I was right after some time. Don't overgive, don't overwork, don't let people treat you really badly. And if you still cut off someone accidentally or because you felt that way, that has a reason as well. Don't punish yourself for it. That was a reason because you were there at that place where you felt that's what you needed to do. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it, especially because I would also add just one thing, that even if you came over your disappointment in somebody and you could feel your emotions and at the end rationalize and forgive, I don't like this word for some reason, but I will explain it. You could forgive what happened. It doesn't mean that you have to accept those people back into your life again. It just means that you understood why it happened, and then it's okay to just live without them, actually, because I see so many people who say that, yeah, I was angry, but I cannot be angry for too long, so they are back in my life. And I'm like, okay, and how many times you will let them to kick you around? Mm-hmm. But then, that's all you can do basically, because everybody needs to learn through their own lessons. And if it doesn't hurt enough, maybe next time it will. And then they will think it through.
Yeah.
And I don't like the word forgiveness because it kind of carries something like you need to let them back. Because if you forgive, it means that you have to accept them back to your life. Or maybe it's just my interpretation, I don't know, but it's not that. Forgiving is really about letting go of the negative emotions about somebody or a situation, what happened for yourself actually. So you feel better, not for them to come back. Yeah.
So there's something to work on there.
Yeah.
But I also didn't like the word forgive. I can't really truly explain right now why, but I think we should make an episode about this. And then I will think deeper.
Yeah, that's a good topic, actually. That's a really good one. There's a lot to discuss with that. Would you like to add anything else about patience?
I think we dissected it to its
Wanted
atoms,
to say everything.
Yes.
Okay, then great. Okay, then let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Please follow, share, comment on the sections below, and see you next time.
Next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.